I was fixing my sister's dress. Right there at the table, in front of everyone. My fingers were on the silk. My hands were steady. I smoothed the fabric. I fixed the smudge. And she just looked away. No thank you. No glance back. Nothing. I sat down in that chair and I understood something. Not in a dramatic way, just quietly. I understood exactly what I was to them. And that understanding was the beginning of the end. My family had 2 daughters. One was given a lifestyle allowance. One worked night shifts. Both were called family. Only one was treated like it. If you have ever given everything to someone and watched them treat it like nothing, you already know how this feels. Subscribe. This story has one of the most satisfying endings I have told. I do not want you to miss it. My name is Jade. My twin sister is Bianca. We came from the same womb. We grew up in the same house, but we never lived the same life. Bianca was the one who got the new clothes before school photos. She got the weekly allowance our mother called an appearance budget. She got introduced at parties as the daughter who was going places. I got early morning shifts. I started baking at 15. Not because I loved it then, because the money was real. By 24, I was sous chef at a respected kitchen downtown. By 26, I had built enough of a name that vendors knew me. The florist who did upscale events, the venue manager at the Riverfront Ballroom, they knew Jade. They trusted Jade. My hands stayed dusted with flour most mornings. I remember passing a store window once on the way to a double shift. I stopped. I looked at my reflection. Apron on. Hair pulled back, flour on my left sleeve, and I thought, maybe they are right. Maybe this is just what I am. I stood there for about 12 seconds, then the first kept walking. I had bread to proof by 5. What nobody knew at that dinner was this. Bianca's engagement venue had a deposit of $14,000. The florist? Contract was $11,000. Both vendors had waived their standard upfront requirements. Both had agreed to defer until 60 days before the event. That only happened because of me. I had not planned it that way. It was not a scheme. It was just how professional relationships work. When I recommended vendors to clients, those vendors got business. When they saw my name connected to an event, they trusted the family behind it. Diane, my mother, had casually mentioned my name during both negotiations. She dropped it like seasoning, just enough to flavor the deal. She never told me she had done it. What nobody in that room knew was that those contracts were essentially built on my name. The dinner was for Bianca's engagement to Marcus, a real estate developer. The ballroom was impressive. The lighting was warm. The 5-tier cake was center stage. I arrived in the dress I owned, not the one my mother suggested I borrow from Bianca. I sat down. I smiled at the right moments. Then I asked about the savings account. Our grandmother had opened it for both of us. It was meant to be equal. I had never seen a withdrawal statement. Diane's face did not change exactly, but something behind her eyes shifted. She said the account had been used for necessary family investments. I asked what that meant. She said Bianca's launch into society required a foundation. I said, what about my foundation? And that is when my mother looked across the table and said it. She said some things in life are velvet and some things are burlap. She said you do not use them for the same purposes. She looked at me and she said, Jade, you are the burlap. Bianca laughed first. Then she clapped once, like it was a good line. I did not speak. I picked up my glass and took a slow sip. Later that same evening, Diane asked me to fix a smudge on Bianca's dress before the photographer arrived. I walked over. I crouched down. I worked the fabric with my thumb until it was clean. Bianca looked at the photographer. She did not look at me. I stood up and walked back to my seat. Nobody acknowledged it. The moment just hung there, unresolved. That was the 4th time that year I had been used without being spoken to. I left before the dessert service. I said I had an early prep call. I walked to my car. The snow had started. I sat in the driver's seat for a moment. My jaw was tight. My shoulders were high. I breathed out slowly. My phone lit up before I reached the highway. Diane. Then Bianca. Then Diane again. I turned the phone face down on the passenger seat. I drove through the snow, quiet all the way home. I need to pause here. Has anyone ever treated your work like it was invisible? Like what you built did not count because it did not look the way they expected? Tell me in the comments. I did not call anyone that night. I did not text Julian until the next morning. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and a cup of black coffee. I pulled up both vendor contracts. I read every line. It took 40 minutes. Then I opened my email. I wrote carefully. No long explanations. No emotion. To the florist, I was writing to formally clarify that I had no professional involvement in the upcoming Whitmore event. I was not a guarantor or reference for this booking. I wished them well in confirming the arrangement directly with the client. To the venue, same structure, same tone. I read both emails 3 times. Then I sent them. I closed the laptop. I made another cup of coffee, and I sat by the window and watched the snow settle on the street. They had no idea what was coming. The venue called Diane at 10 the next morning. The florist reached out by noon. Both required full deposits within 72 hours. $14,000, $11,000, $25,000 in 3 days. I know because Bianca called me 11 times between 10 and 2. I know because Bianca called me 11 times between 10 and 2. She said I was doing this because I had always been jealous. I let her finish. Then I sent one text. It said, "Why is the velvet begging the burlap for help?" I put the phone down. My hands were completely steady. Deanne sold 2 pieces of jewelry to make the venue deposit. The florist package was reduced by 60%. The arch that was supposed to hold 400 white roses held 80. The reception centerpieces were replaced with what the budget allowed. Guests arrived to a room that looked close but not quite right. People noticed. Guests talk. The missing twin became its own conversation. Someone asked Diane where Jade was. Diane said I had a work commitment. 3 tables heard her say it. None of them believed it. I was home that night. Julian made dinner. We opened a bottle of wine we had been saving. I told him the whole story. He listened without saying much. He just said, "You did what you had to do." I think that was right. Months later, Marcus began asking questions. He had assumed Bianca's family had real financial standing. The wedding had signaled resources that did not exist. The house was leveraged. The accounts were thin. He was a developer. He knew how to read a financial picture. By their 8-month mark, the conversations had shifted. By month 11, Bianca was calling me again, not to apologize, to ask if I knew anyone in real estate. I did not answer that call. Then Diane called. It was a video call. I almost did not pick up. She looked older, not years older, but worn. She said she knew they had treated me wrong. She said she was sorry. She said it in the way people say things when they need something, not in the way people say things when they mean it. But I stayed on the call. I listened, because I wanted to know if there was anything there worth keeping. By the end of the call, I had my answer. An apology does not return 11 years of night shifts. It does not refund the grandmother's savings. It does not fix the moment in the ballroom when my sister looked away. I was polite. I said I heard her. I did not say I forgave her. I did not say I would not. I just said I needed to go. Julian and I had dinner plans. That was true. Here's what I know now. I was never the problem. I was the foundation they built on while pretending I was not there. The work was always real. The name they borrowed was always mine. The thing they called burlap turned out to be what the whole structure rested on. I'm not satisfied in a way that feels clean. There's still a rawness to it, but I chose my own life. And that felt like enough. Tell me something. If this had been you, would you have done the same thing? Or would you have given them one more chance? Drop it in the comments. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story right now, send it to them. They will know why. If this story gave you that feeling, that specific satisfaction of watching the truth finally land, subscribe. Because I have more. Stories about people who were written off and counted out, who then made sure that was the last mistake anyone made. See you in the next one.